What is good? We're back. I'm at the kids' table in my own house. Been run out of the in bedroom studio, but we're good. We're running. We're live. How you doing, Chev? What's good?
You know me, brother. Any day on this side of the dirt's a good one.
That's right, man. So today we're going to cover some rookie ADP Superflex tight end premium. It's 1.5 on the premium. We got some FFD ADP. I believe this is 9 drafts now that we've compiled, and it is that season, so we wanted to bring that to you. I'm going to skim through the first 3-4 rounds here and tell you what we like, what we don't like, what we're seeing. Chev, you ready to jump in?
I was born ready. Now I'm here.
Well, let's go. All right, so we got the first round, 101, Genty, 102, Omarion Hampton, 103, Travis Hunter, 104, Cam Ward, 105, Treveyon, 106, Tet McMillan, 107, Quinshon Judkins, 108, Tyler Warren, 109, Caleb Johnson, 110, RJ Harvey, 111, Emeka Egbuka, and rounding out the first round is Colston Loveland. All right. First thing that pops out to you there that you like, don't like, moving around, trade positions. What you thinking here?
I mean, obviously, we're gonna get a whole bunch of hate for this, but again, I go back to like what I said 2 months ago. Travis Hunter. This is a 103 now. I just want to express my desire to express caution with the 103.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If he's a 50-50 player, and you would have to, like, if he's playing half on offense and half on defense, if he's not a full-time player on offense, you would have to be looking at a historic targets per route run like pace on a team with Brian Thomas in order for him to return value here. Like, Brian Thomas isn't going anywhere. Trevor Lawrence isn't going anywhere until 2028 at the earliest. So that's the one that stands out to me. We always start with Travis Hunter, and I stay here way too long. So I don't want to stay here way too long.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying exercise caution. Yeah.
I'm with you, and that's kind of my feelings as well, right? I'm just, it has nothing to do with how good I think Travis Hunter is and can be at that particular position. I'm going to play the more pessimistic, cautionary role here of, like, I feel like a lot of things really have to be figured out, and this has to go super smoothly for him to pay off to what there's some risk there. And if there's also a ginormous ceiling, which is absolutely awesome. So I completely understand what you're doing, but if you're a crappy team and you're at the 103 or 102, and hey, a swing can bring you back, but a swing can set you back. Right. So those things can go either way. So I agree. Exercise caution for me with Hunter as well, because I believe everything that you said. Like, if it's my whole thing is, like, in August when I'm drafting those late rookie drafts, if he's full-time wide receiver in camp and he's not splitting things up, then I'll draft him at the 102. Yes. But for right now, until I can see how this is just a lot for an organization that has not handled a whole lot of things well, and typically is always picking at the top. Through the years, they've had some good years, but organizationally, you got a whole new umbrella of guys handling things. And it's not to say that they won't do it extremely well, but a lot of these guys are first years in what they're doing. So now this is an unprecedented territory of something that you have to handle on top of everything being brand new for you. So just layers on top of layers of caution for me. And talent is tremendous. So
the talent is if you could tell me right now that he was going to get 120 targets, I won 10 out of 10 selecting him right here, 103. I'm locked in. But there's no feasible way for someone to be able to guarantee that coming out of the gate day one.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you. Everybody else that we're drafting in rookie drafts is the position that they're getting drafted at, is the position they play outside of a Savion Williams. We don't know, right? Which is why if we felt if they were like, hey, Savion's going to play running back, I think everybody would probably be drafting him a little higher. And people are like, well, what's he going to do? What's his role going to be? We don't know. So Savion's getting left in the dust. There's a lot of talent there with Savion. There's also a lot of got to coach him up. Right. Yeah. But just that's probably one of the only other examples in the drafts we have of somebody sort of like that. And this is at least on the same side of the ball. So he's not even switching meeting rooms, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously he'd be in different running back and wide receiver, but at least he's practicing with the offense.
I mean, he's going to be the world's best kick returner or something like that. I don't really know. And they've already got an all-pro kick return. Anyway, the next thing that stands out to me is the difference in now. I don't hate it because, you're a big Treveyon guy. I like him. I think that, the home run ability, I think what turned me off is the comparisons to Jahmyr Gibbs. And it's like, man, that's not really fair to a guy coming out, like putting those expectations on him. The Alvin Kamara's, the Jahmyr Gibbs. He does have incredible pass protection, which, I mean, unfortunately, that doesn't score you fantasy points, but it is going to earn you the opportunity to be on the field at third down. Sure. But my thing is, my guy, my RB3 throughout this whole thing walks into a situation where he's going into Cleveland and there's just Jerome Ford there. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I might have flipped. I mean, we're assuming. I was just listening to a guy on Twitter. I don't even know how I found it, but there's a space and they're talking about, Ramondre and how, what the local beat's saying about him and what this means for him. And like, what if it's a mistake to assume that he's automatically dead and this is just Treveyon's
I don't think
guy?
you should. I don't think you should. And to go further back to what you were saying of the Gibbs, I think it's very unfair to think that he's Gibbs. For me, for what I wanted was him to be in a role like Gibbs.
Correct.
Right. Not that he is Gibbs, to be used like Gibbs. That's what I want to see. And if that's how the Patriots are going to do it, then he can be just fine because he can score points because he does have that explosive kind of trait and game speed, in his repertoire. But,
right.
I don't think that Ramondre is just going to come in here and get absolutely just thrown to the bench. I think we're misstepping there. We talked about it a while ago. I think Ramondre is going to come out there with a pretty fair opportunity to have as much work as he wants until he starts fumbling opportunities away. Right. So
I understand that the skill set is incredible. Like you saw him run a double move against the corner. They played that in his draft highlights. You saw him score a 75-yard touchdown on a screen in the college football playoff. You've seen him hit breakaway runs. He averaged 7 yards a carry at Ohio State. Now, how much of that is, I mean, he's very, very talented as a player. This whole Quinshon Treveyon thing, people are just staunch on the Treveyon side for the most part. I feel like I'm the old man yelling at clouds like, hey, the dude that's a bruiser, that's a hammer, that you can hand the ball to 290 times, I feel like that should have some value. And he can catch passes too. Can he do what Treveyon does? No. But I mean, there's a reason that he can't, and that's because Treveyon's a rare back. But also, we're looking at landing spots now, and we're looking at we're forgetting that Quinshon was incredible in the college football playoff also,
right?
And they played off of each other. So that's kind of where I'm at. Would I like to see those flipped? Maybe because of the day one opportunity, but also, it's been really difficult for me to be on the clock at the 105 or the 106 and also select Quinshon over Treveyon because that Browns organization is just dog water. I mean, it's just trash. Like who's playing quarterback?
Right.
So it's like New England has everything that I want for a running back walking into it, but also like, what if it's not Treveyon for the next 2 years? What if he's just in a timeshare and he has to be super efficient and you have to count on him to do some Bucky Irving, Alvin Kamara type stuff for him? And I know people are going to say, well, that's completely in the range of outcomes, but you're limiting yourself to a very, very, very small, you got to fit a camel through a keyhole to get the type of return that you're expecting for a guy like that.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of sex appeal with Henderson, and I like Henderson. I think that kind of stuff gets you value in the court of public opinion with Henderson. So I think you'll be able to maneuver around with him and kind of do whatever you want. And I do think that, there's a really good chance that he is in some sort of a timeshare. Like I don't think he needs to be the feature 1A, this just getting a million touches either. Like I feel like it's better for him to be ceding some touches to some other guys and letting them work in space. And I think that's how they should be using them. The Quinshon thing is quarterback that I don't really know what's going on, and that offensive line's a little old and been banged up. But that Cleveland offense has functioned with guys like Joe Flacco in there, right?
Right.
I think it can still function. I trust Stefanski. There's one thing they've gotten right over the years is the run game. And I like him. I actually kind of like him and Dylan Sampson as a compliment to each other. And I do think Sampson will come in there and get some workload. I don't think it's just going to be the Quinshon Judkins show, but
and Jerome
show
Ford's
me, right. But yeah, exactly. And Jerome Ford's a good player, I think. Show me there's not very many backfields that are just wide open anyway, right? That is just like, hey, this one guy's got it, and it's just a mile between the other guy coming in there, right? So I would say I'm probably generally a hair lower on Judkins, but that's because I'm higher on Johnson and Harvey. So I would probably take Judkins as the last running back in the round for me, but it doesn't mean I don't like Judkins. That's just, generally how I kind of view it. And that's just how the first round is, right? That's how even the second round is it's pick your poison, choose your fighter. You can trade back if you can. If sometimes it doesn't even need to be that expensive of a trade back. If you can't get anything done, you could just, hey, I could pick up a 2-3 swap to move back a player or two. Not the sexiest thing to do, but if you kind of view them all the same, kind of as how I'm viewing them all the same a little bit, especially because I'm the most into Caleb and he's usually one of the last ones. You could see some success on some smaller movebacks throughout there, but not a huge problem with how the first round breaks out. I think Harvey should probably be a little higher here. But tight end premium, I'm all for taking Tyler Warren. Egbuka sticking in there at 111 was kind of interesting to me. Like nobody flinched on that one, really. That's kind of, I felt like where we were at with Egbuka, the end of the first, and he went to a spot that we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, how we think that can play out, but which is probably, it could be really favorable for Egbuka really quickly. And maybe he's just running the slot the whole time this year, and it's awesome for Egbuka. And McMillan's just kind of rotating out wide and in the slot here and there, right?
Right.
Kind of what he did last year's. That's interest. That's probably the most interesting to me right there, is that Egbuka is still really holding that strong right there. I thought maybe, somebody like a Golden would have passed him, but I guess or at least Jackson Dart maybe would have solidified that spot, right? Not for me personally, but I would have thought that more people, like the amount of love Jackson Dart got, and then he went in the first round to a spot that's kind of wide open. It didn't seem like it really changed a whole lot of value for a lot of people there. I don't think, at least right now.
A couple things. So, I'll go Egbuka, and then I'll kind of talk Jackson Dart. I think the thing with Egbuka is people are starting to realize that, while it seems like it's not really a wide open landing spot, things with Mike Evans, you have to be prepared. And you heard the GM say, hey, we had to go through a stretch last year where we didn't have Chris Godwin, we didn't have Mike Evans. We wanted to make sure that we had weapons in place in case, for emergency, in case that, something like this happened again. And then, again, I've said it till I'm blue in the face, Mike Evans only has a void year left on his contract. We don't know what Chris Godwin is going to amount to post-injury. I hope that it's really good. I hope that he comes back and he's just picks up where he left off. And he's 28 years old, so we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning, most likely with him. And then Jalen McMillan has found money. I mean, a 5th-round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. And he comes out and he balls out last year. So now that's another option that they have in the passing game. So I think they want to have him and not need him, but they're going to need him eventually. And I think that's what people are banking on, is just, we're buying Baker, we're buying the offense, we're buying the fact that that's a probably top 5 unit at this point in terms of passing ecosystem. Definitely top 5. What am I saying? So
and a pretty solid line. They're just all around the offense. They put strength on strength there, and they said, hey, we're not gonna go into a deficit here, really, no matter kind of what happens here, as long as our line stays moderately healthy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So,
and Baker's moving around. Baker's looking good. Baker's confident. Like, we've lost 2 coordinators in the last 2 years. We'll see how it comes around, but I think Baker's got a hold of what's happening here. So I kind of like where the Bucks at, and I'm all for taking Egbuka there. I don't mind it at all. I was pretty much camp Golden. Let's go Golden because of the year that we can have. But I think I like Egbuka more as a receiver.
We all liked him more. That's the thing. It's like we talked about this. We knew that that 4.29 was going to push Matthew Golden into the first round. I liked him a lot more when we were talking about him in the second.
Right.
So now that he's in the first, we have this expectation. We have this pressure to say, okay, well, he's a first round receiver. We've got to treat him accordingly. I've talked about that before. We've not seen Jordan Love just hone into one target and force feed that guy. So again, the same thing that we talk about Travis Hunter, like what does the target share look like for him coming out of the gate? Like, is it, if he's at 25, really, do you think he gets to 25% target share with the receivers that they have there currently?
I think it'll be interesting. I think, what intrigues you again is, and you could put as much stock or laugh at it, whatever you want to do. They did take a receiver in the first round. So I do think there's probably going to be an effort to get the ball to him. Right.
Right.
But I do, Jaden Reed, I think is one of my favorite buys right now because I feel like he's going to play really well opposite of that. And he doesn't need to be the featured guy, quote unquote, or try to get let's do some stuff with Golden. Let's stretch the field a little bit. Hey, they're just completely different operators. One guy's, I think, fantastic with Yak, and Golden's not really a Yak guy as far as like ball in his hands, making people miss. He gets the ball, sees a crease, and goes.
Right.
Not that he's not strong, but he's not what Reed is. Like Reed's kind of Debo light-ish with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't run with the same, he doesn't punish people like Debo does.
Right.
But it's just he's very slippery, he's very slick, he's very hard to tackle, in space. And those manufactured touches turn into positive plays for the offense. So they're not going to stop doing that. I wish they would do it more, but people in hell want ice water. So what can I do?
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the second round here. We got Jackson Dart 201, Matthew Golden 202, Luther Burden the third 203, 204. We got Cam Skattebo, the what we call it?
Anglo-Saxon assassin, baby.
Anglo-Saxon assassin. There we go. We got Jaden Higgins coming in at 205. 206, we got Trey Harris. 207, we got Jack Besh. 208, Jalen effing Milroe. Say my name.
Wow.
Yeah. Tuten.
Wow.
Rootin' Tootin coming in at 209. 210, we got Mason Taylor. 211, shout out to you, Kyle Williams. And then 212, Terrence Ferguson with that one's a bit wild to me. So second round, I feel like top three. Yeah, that's chalk to me, right? Dart, Golden, Burden. I think all those guys should go above all the guys that are below them.
Yes.
I know you like Higgins.
I do. So that's the one thing that I'll flip is I would have him well in front of Cam Skattebo.
Same. That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, I don't really. While I talked about, he probably changes the math when it comes to your run game because he can just run through people's face.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what's the opportunity share going to look like for him in New York? Does he just erase Tyrone Tracy?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That's the part I don't understand here, especially with this ADP.
Right. Are we assuming that he's the day one guy? Like, can you tell me?
That wouldn't make any sense to me.
So there's a couple things. One, if you're taking him here, you're assuming, I feel like by the draft capital, you're assuming that this is going to be a top half offense of the league. Because if they're bottom 10, then you're taking a fourth round running back in the top 16 or 17 picks, and they're a bottom 10 offense with a guy already in place.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem like very clean process to me.
No, me neither. And look, if once you start slotting them in behind the 206, I guess, and we're talking two spots here, but I think that's two very valuable spots. Like I see a huge gap in between that 5 and 6 there, and where Skattebo is up there at 4. Like between, like it should be 4, 5, Higgins, Harris. Although maybe I swap those two, and then Skattebo, but a big gap. Like I need to trade something to pretty sizable to close that gap for me, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so I don't really understand that one at all. If you want to say, hey, I'm taking Skattebo over Besh, I can't argue with you. I personally am not. I'll take Besh there because I'm with you. Like, it feels like maybe it's just the want, and we've given Cam plenty of flowers, man. You can't kill him. You got to chop his head off to kill him. He's like a goonie. He never says die. Right. That's all the good things. And I like Cam Skattebo, and a great receiver, but the other guy's a great receiver too. So it's just like, what's the roles going to be? How's it going to work? And I just don't see them just completely eliminating the other one. I think both are good players. So I just, maybe there's an injury that really helps one or the other out, but I feel like there's going to be some cannibalization. And then, which guy gets the more opportunities and the better opportunities? I don't know. I would say that, they can kind of operate differently, but receiving wise, I feel like that's both their superpowers. And both are elusive and hard to tackle. And, but Tracy's, got a little more get up to him, I think.
Yeah.
And it's no shade on Skattebo. So I'd probably throw him down here. I'm not ready to take Milroe at 208 for me personally. And I'm not quite as high on Tuten as everybody else. It's the same thing that we're talking about there. I just feel like he's just ascended to the top of the list because of Cohen, and I get it. And I'm all for buying into situations and offenses, but like there's still Bigsby and ETN, but one of those guys could get traded easily. And I know ETN won't be there next year. And this isn't just redraft. We're not just playing for a year, but like, I just feel like we just went 0 to 100 on Tuten just because he went to the Jaguars and Cohen took him. And it's like, is this year's fourth round like a third round in a lot of years? Probably so, right? With how many running backs there were, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could justify that somewhat, however you want to do that mental gymnastics. But to me, I think they saw a fast guy who went to Jacksonville, and now everybody thinks he's Bucky Irving, and maybe he is. And I'm not even that big against Tuten, but it's just like, I'm probably going to take some of the tight ends. I'm probably going to take Kyle Williams over Tuten. So I'm going to take Arroyo. But that's, I could be completely wrong. I mean, Jaydon Blue and Tuten, I feel like Jaydon Blue's got a better opportunity this year than Tuten, and he's explosive. I don't know where it feels like Tuten has lapped Blue pretty easily here.
Oh, without question.
And I'm not saying that I don't think Tuten's a little better than Blue, but and a little different, but I'm probably a little lower on that. And then Ferguson at 12, that's at least got to be Arroyo. Flip him with Ferguson for me. And I like Ferguson a lot. And I'll take and tight end premium. I'm probably moving all these tight ends up a little bit here and moving Milroe, Tuten, and Skattebo just down a little bit for me personally.
Well, I would feel more comfortable. I mean, and to
be honest with you, this Arroyo is a lot of me right there. So that could be even lower.
Yeah. The fall on that is, I think, mostly due to people not really. So hold on. I'm going to stay in the second round here and just go with that Cam Skattebo and Bhayshul Tuten thing. I'd feel much more comfortable if we were that ADP was compressed down a little bit. Like if Tuten and Skattebo were going back to back, like around the 2.9, 2.10, I can talk myself into that.
Sure. 100%. I'm with you. 1,000%.
0 out of 10 times would I ever select Cam Skattebo over Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris or Jack Besh. I'm not doing it. I'm just not.
Yeah. I'm with you. 100% there.
So that to me just signals that everybody thinks that he is now the de facto starter with no competition in the backfield, and that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and now he's just and he must just be some stud, right? And maybe he is. I'm not trying to besmirch his name, I don't mind Tuten, but I
have
feel
talked about this till we're blue in the face. We love Cam Skattebo. I don't love the ADP here. 204 is way too rich for me.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna jump into this third round.
Yep.
All right, we got Elijah Arroyo leading it off. We got Noel, Jaydon Blue at 303. 304 is Devin Neal, Tyler Shough, which I would probably take Shough over Milroe in that slot in the second there if I want to take a shot. But I get the Milroe love. I do. And we should probably take another minute on Milroe when we double back here. So Shedeur Sanders at 306, Fanning at 307, tight end 6. Dylan Sampson, 308, RB11. Royals, Ayo Manor, Brashard Smith at 311, Jarquez Hunter at 312. So a lot to break down there. I want to touch on Milroe for a second. Milroe seems real safe right now with just value because people are all over him. And Big Co's been saying the slow-mo videos, are out and everybody loves what they're seeing from Milroe. And it's just like, yeah, they don't put the dirt balls in slow-mo. And I'm not trying to kill my man. I think he went to a situation that certainly could be his. You're probably at best waiting a year. Injuries happen, but and then he's got a lot to learn and a lot to figure out. But I understand the opportunity cost to grab Milroe here and just swing for the fences. So I'm not totally against it. I would like to see him more at the 301. I feel better with the 3 in front of his name instead of the 2. Yes. And it feels like I could do something quicker with Shough than I could with Milroe, even though maybe the Milroe hype gets out of control and you could flip him a lot easier or whatever. So just wanted to go back and touch on that real quick. But Blue, awful steamed up. Noel kind of falling out of grace a little bit, but staying in there. I think Shough's really good value there at 305. Shedeur at 306. I can't argue with you, man. I liked him. I liked him pre-process. If you're going to get into the late thirds, mid thirds, and want to swing on Shedeur, I'm with it, man. And then Sampson and Royals are 2 of my favorites. Fanning, I like a lot. This third's just great, man. Like Hunter at the 312, Brashard Smith at the 311. My guy Woody Marks doesn't quite make it in there. But I could easily take him at the back end of any 3 too. I think he's got a roll right away to come out here and catch balls. So what's your thoughts on the third here?
I mean, there's a ton of, we said, throughout the process, I think this is the year that you want to trade for as many seconds and thirds as you could possibly get your hands on. And this is why. So you've got Tyler Shough has climbed in here. Jaydon Blue has climbed in. Jalen Royals has now fallen from the late second all the way down to the back end of the third. There's so much value here. And if you believe in a player, Jalen Noel, for example, Jalen Noel, climber in the process, got added to sleeper late, goes in the top 80 picks. And I'm expecting him to come in and fill that Tank Dell role. He's a full-size Tank Dell that runs a 4.3 with incredible burst metrics and bona fide slot receiver to fill that role. So the minute Christian Kirk gets hurt, I don't expect him to get his job back from Jalen Noel. So him being in the third round is incredible value. Jaydon Blue, we talked about the opportunity that could be at hand. Personally, I think that with Clayton Adams and this is a different discussion, but with what Clayton Adams did in Arizona with James Conner, Phil Moff is probably the guy that I'm looking for. Just because I don't have to spend anything on him.
Yeah,
it's a freebie, and I don't like saying nice things about Clemson because of Dabo, but whatever. So
worse, get some sideburns.
Grow some facial hair. Just do something. But yeah, there's just so much value to be had. Obviously, Devin Neal, that's the one for me. You know me. If we're not gonna get the capital that we want, then I want a landing spot. And what has New Orleans been trying to do for the last few years? Like they're trying to find someone that can take some of the carries away from Alvin Kamara. Just give him a break. Hey, here's a little breather here. Here's a little breather here. Like let's get someone else that can do this. And I mean, it probably would have been Kendre Miller if he had been healthy for more than like 80 snaps in his entire career.
Right.
So, Devin Neal going to New Orleans. I love that. And now, we were having to pay in mocks, we were having to pay 205, 206. Now he's down at the 3.4. So I love that. There's so much goodness to be had. The only thing, I mean, Tyler Shough, just no. Absolutely not. I mean, I know that from a process standpoint, it's a top 40 pick. It's I just can't really I can't get behind it. I can't endorse it. Just because now you can go to the big co school and negotiating and trading and trade this guy at a profit. But I mean, I haven't seen him play enough ball to really feel confident about his abilities, even though he is 25. This is not a Bo Nix situation where he's old and he's played a lot of football. This guy's old and he has not played a lot of football. Mm-hmm. If you're old enough to remember Chris Winkie or Brandon Wheaton, you understand what I'm saying.
Right. I'm neutral on. I don't love him as a player, but I just love that he's a quarterback that could really get an opportunity. I haven't seen him go in the third in an actual draft just yet, but it's everybody different in the room there, and that's kind of how this happens. And our ADP and our drafters, they're a little lower on Shough than the rest. I think as we figure more and more out with Derek Carr and see who that starter is going to be, that cost will rise up, and it just takes one in a draft. So if he's 211, 210, 212, because there's a couple of guys that I might shift around in there, Shough might be a little interesting. But like you were saying, the trade-ins at 3, like I love Neal's a big target. I'm fine with going after Fannin, Dylan Sampson, and Royals. Like, I mean, you got 4 great choices, I think, in the 3rd round here. And then, if you like Shedeur before, I think you can throw Shedeur in there.
Without question.
So, all right, let's go on to the fourth and final round here. We got Ollie Gordon, 401, 402. We got Woody Marks, 403, Will Howard, 404, Isaac Tesla, 405, Jordan James, 406, Pat Bryant, 407, DJ Giddens, 408, Dylan Gabriel, 409, Torrey Horton, 410, Kyle Monangai going to Chicago out of Rutgers, 411, Isaiah Bond, 412, Quinn Ewers, and then Aronde Gadsden's coming in at 501, Ricky White's coming in at 502, Tahj Brooks 503, Ty Felton 504, 3rd round receiver, Savion Williams 505, 3rd round receiver, right?
Yep.
Gunnar Helm, Chikari Crossgate, Merritt, is that it?
Yep. You got it.
Out of
Arizona,
and he went to Washington. That's a fun, sneaky free spot there, I think.
Yep.
Trevor Etienne, Andrew Armstrong, Arkansas, the other receiver over there, and Xavier Restrepo coming in at 5'11". So some fun shots. I know we like Aronde Gadsden here, especially tight end premium. He's a must grab. And even in this 4th, man, I'm fine with. I'll trade into. I know some people might think it's bad process, but I'll trade in to grab another one of these guys in the 4th because there, just like the NFL draft, we're getting guys that should be in the 3rd round in a lot of drafts for these running backs who are in the 4th round right now, right? DJ Giddens injury away, right? And I love the cost of him. I have him below a lot of these running backs, so I'm okay with where he's being drafted. But I mean, he's so cheap right now. He's a 4th rounder. I love Torrey Horton. He's got a huge opportunity. Kyle Monangai is a whole lot of fun. I don't know if I'm trading in for him. I'm hoping maybe he makes it to the 5th round and we don't have one and he's going free agent. Jordan James was a favorite of mine through this whole process, and he's on San Fran. I mean, people are always drafting. When you get into the 4th round, you don't know what to do. Draft this running back that the San Francisco 49ers drafted is essentially a pretty easy role in fantasy. Don't know what to do with Tesla. I know the metrics are off the charts. A lot of people think Armstrong was the better receiver in Arkansas.
There's no question about it. He was definitely the better receiver.
Ollie Gordon at 401 goes to Miami, which could give them something different in that backfield they don't have, but I think it's going to be the Wright and Achane show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Woody Marks coming in at 402. I like him. He doesn't. But even Will Howard at 403, like I'm okay with taking that stash and just throwing him on there. A lot of positivity about Will right now. So a lot of fun for us. A 3rd round receiver and Pat Bryant going to Denver. And we know what Denver, we've talked about this in the late round show that we did. Denver is notorious. The head coach there, Sean Payton, is notorious for that. That's my guy. Oh, I'm going to play the shit out of him, even if he isn't that great. So Pat, you could probably see some Pat Bryant, here and there. Or maybe he's just a straight up trying to say, hey, you're going to sit behind Cortland for a good chunk of the season, and we'll see you next year. And Vele's got to play, of course. So
I think he saw enough of Vele playing last year. That's why he did this with Pat Bryant.
Yeah, and no, one guy isn't in here is Donte Thornton Jr. So I think that's another good guy that you know, either free agent wise or last pick in the draft. A lot of fun there. It's something that the Raiders don't really have. Obviously, they took Besh, but this guy's, you know, bigger, faster, different kind of big guy, right?
Yeah.
And right now their number one is listed as Trey Tucker. Obviously, we know that Brock Bowers and Jacoby, because of the positions that they play, wouldn't be listed on the team's depth chart as the one, right? And then Besh kind of slots in as, you know, seems like he would be a great two. So just another interesting guy. Ricky White, a favorite of mine. So any general thoughts on this fourth round outside of your Woody Marks hate, which
it's not hate. You said that he was better than LaQuinn Allen, and we disagreed, and then he gets the draft capital, and
so you must be right.
LaQuinn Allen doesn't. So I mean, I can't
LaQuinn
say
Allen not on here. Good pull though. He should be a free agent pickup for you.
100%. I mean, if you know anything about LaQuinn Allen,
it's better pass catcher than Tuten.
Yes, phenomenal pass catcher. Goes to Jacksonville. You know, has formation versatility, lined up out wide. They were designing touches for him. Is he very explosive? No, but he's got reliable hands. He can run routes, and he's tough. I mean, he's tough as nails. He's going to create a role. They're trying to figure out this life after Travis Etienne thing, and they're trying to figure it out right now. So that's a guy that I wouldn't mind taking a stab at, you know, as a free agent. He's not being drafted right now. No. Woody Marks is going to probably, I mean, he's what's standing between him and being the backup to Joe Mixon right now. Dare Ogunbowale, Damian Pierce.
Nothing.
That's it. So and nothing.
And can function and do different thing. Like just, you know, easy. He should have a third down roll right away if you know they want to throw a different kind of pass catcher out there.
Could function as the third down satellite back immediately. Will Howard, one of my favorite quarterbacks after watching him for a draft guide that I'm working on. Like, I didn't understand why no one was talking about Will Howard throughout this process. Like, you saw him play at Kansas State. You saw him have some success. Yeah. He has a 75-yard touchdown run or 70-yard touchdown run against the University of Texas on film against at Kansas State. Then, again, long story short, they were entrusting him with the ball as a runner with Quinshon Judkins and Treveyon on the field when they needed to close games out. So, and you saw him make some layered throws, and he was operating in the college football playoff. Now, was he operating with elite weapons with guys that are all probably going to play in the NFL? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But still, he did it. I watched him put the ball in places where guys could just seamlessly catch and run. That's another thing that people don't really talk about that I feel like is a skill that quarterbacks need to have. You know, Tom Brady talks about it where it's like, hey, if I throw it here, that guy's going to go to the hospital. So I've got to put the ball like that. That's an attention to detail thing that I think is important that he does, that I've seen him do. And then Jordan James, again, we did this same thing with Isaac Guerendo last year, 4th round San Francisco running backs. Isaac Guerendo was in the 4th round, and he won people leagues down the stretch last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
And then
get to the playoffs.
Yeah. And then Pat Bryant, 74th overall. Nobody saw that coming. And then you listen to the press conference from Sean Payton, and he says, well, he kind of reminds me of Michael Thomas. And that makes everybody get up in a tizzy. Yeah. And they're like, I got to know more about Pat Bryant. His film's really fun. I mean, it's really fun. He's an aggressive hands catcher. He's good after the catch. He just didn't test well.
Right.
And that took him off. And he didn't really stand out during he was at the Senior Bowl. I'm 90% sure. But anyway, he didn't stand out at the Senior Bowl, not like Higgins and Noel did or Jack Besh. So that kind of depressed. But the Broncos had their evaluation. They trusted it. And now he's a 3rd round pick, and he's going in the 4th round. Are you kidding me? Like,
yeah. There's just plenty of opportunities all through the 3rd and 4th, I think, to hop back in there and grab some really fun depth here that could turn into some good stuff. Or even if it doesn't turn into awesome stuff, a lot of those guys can have little value bumps that can either help get trades done or singularly just, trade back what you had for them or whatever. If you're that kind of guy who doesn't want to see things through, and you're like, all right, well, I don't see this going well. He's got a little bump here, maybe not as good as I hoped he'd be. Sell him off, and that's fine. So it's not always about hitting the lottery, but there is a lottery system here through 3 and 4 here, and I think we've got more tickets than usual throughout here, and now some people may disagree with that, and because solely capital and all those things, but I don't let that dictate every decision I make in fantasy. I let some evaluations speak for themselves, and some of the guys are, you didn't like Woody Marks, the NFL did. That doesn't mean that my evaluation was right. I mean, Woody Marks get in the league absolutely stink, and just be a bust of a, just because the NFL picked them higher doesn't mean they got it right either. Right? They screw this up kind of all the time. So,
right.
It doesn't need to drive every decision. It's good to look at the percentages and say, all right, well, if I could stay in these ranges and help myself out a little bit, and then I'm going to go outside the box here because I really like this guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no. I mean, a couple like the last we touched on Torrey Horton. I mean, I think that there's a tremendous role available, with Marquez Valdez-Scantling just being the X receiver there, being the outside wide receiver. I think Torrey Horton can come in and win that job immediately.
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop him or Ricky White? Like, those are guys that you should be stashing, that you should be spending your 5th round, 4th round, 5th round picks on.
Dumping your fab on after.
Yeah, just because, hey, if it happens, this is a clear path. That there's no Cortland Sutton there like there is for Pat Bryant. It's JSN and Cooper Kupp, and they're going to be in a different part of the field than what Ricky White and Torrey Horton are good at operating at.
Yeah. All right, you ready to get out of here?
Sure.
Did you have one more?
No, I mean,
sure, totally. Let's get out of here.
No, I mean, just Tahj Brooks.
Yeah,
Tahj Brooks in the 5th. Yeah, that one kind of struck. I mean, I like Tahj Brooks. I like Tahj Brooks throughout the process. I mean, he played at 230, and then he was smart enough to slim down for the combine and test pretty well for a 215-pound back. Elite agility markers, 1,500-yard rusher, 4,500 yards rushing in his career. And now he just has to beat out the ghost of Zach Moss for backup touches to Chase Brown in that high-octane offense that has to score 700 points a week to win football games. So 5th-round pick, you could do much worse. I can guarantee you that he's better than I don't even know, Chris, or can't even remember the backups' names over the course of the last few years that were there. Yeah,
Chris
Bengals.
Evans?
Yeah, Chris Evans. The running back from Texas A&M.
Yeah. I thought it was Henderson. I thought it was Henderson, but it's not. It's and I actually kind of liked him.
I did too, but it just didn't, like, Chase Brown. Hurt. Yeah. Chase Brown emerged, and so that was, but yeah, there's
it was Treveyon or something like that.
Treveyon Henderson. That's exactly
Treveyon Henderson. Yeah.
So there's a path there. And again, this is the 5th round. So you're not expecting these guys to do anything. And if they do, you have found money, and you should try to cash that in unless you really believe in, your evaluation of that player.
Right. All right. I like it. Let's wrap it up. Chev, where can we find you at?
You know me. I'm on the Twitter X machine. I'm on, there's a link tree there. You can go find all this stuff. And then download the app from the App Store, League Champ, not Duck League. It's at Duck League Champ on Twitter. But yeah, Duck League Champ in the App Store and Play Store. You got Android like me.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Check it out. FF Dynasty on all the handles, on all the socials. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. 5-star review if you're listening on the pod. If you want more, if you want access to this ADP and all the drafts that we're doing, come over to the Discord, both free and paid versions. We got the rookie sheets available for all members of Patreon, all levels, 5, 10, whatever. This year it's, help you out in the draft. There's Jason and Zach and everybody else that's touched that thing has put a lot of work and effort into it. And there's a lot of good parts and pieces to help you make decisions through your rookie draft there. So, sign up. And if you're already a $5 member, you've got access to it, or a $10 member, you've got access to it. But episodes every week over there. We go live for the patrons, so make sure you check that out. And last but not least, if you're listening on the player profile or feed, please go over to the FFD feed and hit that subscribe button, because you're missing some episodes. You get them earlier on that feed, and just make sure you don't miss anything from us. So until next time, I'm Casey. That's Chev.